My name is Lisa Zabatrisky, and I am presenting my best practices presentation. Our world is changing at an alarming rate. The potential of our learning ability is directly linked to the rate at which our world changes. There is so much to learn and create. To best prepare our students for the ever-changing world they are going to be functioning in as adults, we as teachers need to practice higher level thinking skills with our students. Students need to learn to solve problems, think critically, analyze current information, make decisions, predictions, and analysis. Researchers like Diamond, Wolf, and Kane suggest that our brains are fully capable of learning new things. Their research supports that our brains make new connections with each new piece of information we learn. Our students will be bombarded with new information and knowledge. So let's help them develop their thinking skills. For this presentation, I am going to present how I incorporated graphic organizers and Kagan thinking skills. Graphic organizers help students understand the key relationships and ideas in the text that they read, allowing more focus as students study. I chose the Kagan card thinking questions. KaganOnline.com cites that to prepare our students for the future, we have to change our channels of questioning to help our students become higher level thinkers. Kagan cites that thinking questions are designed to help you ensure that your questions engage and develop your students' multifaceted thinking skills. They are open-ended, higher-level thinking questions to get our students to think deeply. I chose the class questions for this activity. The students generate questions from 5 different types of thinking skills. My classroom for this exercise had 5 high school students, freshmen through juniors. They are enrolled in the nutrition and wellness class. My learning objectives for this project include 1. Describe each describe each nutrient. 2. Identify the functions of each nutrient. 3. Explain how our bodies use each nutrient. And 4. Evaluate the role each nutrient plays in a variety of health issues and overall health. One of the students is a special education student. I chose the graphic organizer model to help her, as well as the other students, categorize pertinent information. I first had them choose a nutrient. Then we discussed what we may want to learn about nutrients. Each was then assigned reading material and given the task of summarizing their material into a graphic organizer. I asked them to complete the organizer for informational tasks. The student samples are attached in the next few slides. Here we have carbohydrates, and I thought this student did an excellent job of organizing her information and providing good quality information. This is vitamins. Um, Maybe a little less information, but again, good quality. She specifies both water soluble as well as fat soluble vitamins. She lists them. She talks about some of the diseases and conditions that a lack of vitamins can lead to. This one is protein, again, very similar to the one we previously saw. And this is minerals. Now, I think on this one, it's a good example to show how a younger student maybe didn't take this to the full extent. Just putting, the information in the least amount of information, I guess, that was needed as well. This is my special education student sample, and so she was given very explicit headings and summarizing, maybe not so well. She did take it pretty much verbatim from the reading material, but I think still just the organization of the material helped her to focus on what she was learning. Overall, I was pretty pleased with the outcomes of the graphic organizer exercise. The students revealed that they do seldom complete graphic organizers, so they were apprehensive to complete this exercise, but felt that their information was organized after completing it. So moving on, the class then engaged in class sharing in their information of subsequently the Kagan thinking questions, strategy class questions. Per the class question strategy direction to assign each student a different type of thinking skill, I assigned the following: interpreting, relating, predicting, planning, and explaining. And here I just gave one example of a question that might from that thinking question. There's 36 possible types of critical and creative thinking strategies. The Kagan card for this strategy includes all 36 with at least 2 possible question examples for each. I've included one question example from the 5 utilized in this activity to give you an idea of the types of questions asked. I asked the students to think of 5 questions related to their thinking skill. I differentiated the work from my SPED student by asking her to come up with 3 questions. Classroom instruction that works cites Kagan as a strategy to, quote, promote the use of cooperative learning structures, highlighting positive interdependence and individual accountability. The class was held accountable for researching information and completing the graphic organizers. The students were interdependent on the next task assigned of developing questions. The students turned in their questions and I selected the best ones. The next step was to discuss the graphic organizer information as a class discussion, and then the questions I selected were asked. The class was divided up into 2 teams to discuss and answer these questions, but also to see what other questions may have been generated. These next 3 slides show a sample of the questions and the answers provided by the students, along with a photo of the team collaboration. So here's just a very brief sample of some of the questions from the different nutrients. This is a picture of one of the teams collaborating on the project. And then for my SPED student, this was the question that they initially answered, but I will say when we got them into groups, she did a very good job of recalling not only what she had had in her graphic organizer, but what had been shared verbally and visually from the other students. And she did take an active part in her team discussion. I was very pleased with the answers to the questions and the fact that the students worked well together to answer the questions. The answers were very well explained to show that the students did increase their knowledge and understanding of the 5 nutrients chosen. A couple of ways to differentiate this strategy would be to assign fewer than 5 questions for struggling students, which I did for my one special needs student. I would also be sure to pair students with differing abilities and learning styles to aid in the cooperative learning process. For a more challenging approach, this strategy could be differentiated by challenging upper level students to complete a scenario for a real life situation. For instance, I could present students with a profile, and from the information provided, the students would have to determine the role that specific nutrients play in the overall health of the profile. The students could identify if nutrients are lacking and plan menus for increasing those nutrients that are missing. This lesson provided a new way to engage students and changed how questions were approached, considered, and answered. I was very proud of my students for engaging in this activity and trying a new approach to learning material. As a rule, I do incorporate cooperative learning in my classroom, but the thinking questions strategy was a new approach. The Kagan card identifies the thinking questions in the strategy as higher order thinking questions. I know I have some practice to do, but in retrospect, I saw the difference in our discussion level and the positive responses from my students encourages me to continue trying this strategy. After trying the Kagan thinking questions strategy, it is evident that learning took place. I was encouraged by how well my students responded to the strategy and the amount of information processed. It is also evident that this strategy and one similar have the potential to move our students toward higher level thinking skills, therefore changing how our students approach learning. Our world is changing at an alarming rate. Our thinking skills will become even more valuable as the world changes. We have to move beyond memorization and basic knowledge to higher level thinking skills that will help our students be at the forefront of the analysis, problem solving, decision making, and predicting that they will face. After all, as Marion Diamond states in The Brain Behind the Brains, education should continue for life. Let's continue to nurture the development of our students' thinking skills.